visibility strategist. I help purpose-driven individuals and brands to with their visibility, their communication, engagement, and just help them to connect better to their audiences. So the writers' room started 2 years ago, I think. It was paused for a while, but we're back every Wednesday. And today we are starting at 7:15 instead of 7 o'clock. I think we're going to do it at this time from now on, 7:15 for 20 to 30 minutes. Because I need to sort out the boys before I can be sure that I'll have peace and quiet. So also I'm trying a new location. So over time I will sort of arrange this place better, but I'm trying a new location. So today we're talking about how marketing and selling make you a better human being. Right. So let's see. Okay. Right. So let's get going. My name is Emebasi, and when was this? In 2014 was when I took the B school. When I attended B school or took a course, it's quite popular in the online marketing space with Marie Folio. Marie Folio's been around for years and years, and she teaches people. B school means business school, so she started that maybe a few years before I joined, but I joined the 2014 cohorts. It was also one of the first expensive courses I did. It cost around $2,000 at the time. And but I remember I was thinking about this school because of today's topic. One of the things that they asked us to do at that time, I don't know whether they still do this, was to talk about try to, take some personality tests, and then also, apart from taking the personality test, like, these different personality tests that help you to know your strength finder tests, those kind of tests. One of the exercises that we were supposed to ask our friends and family, like choose 4 or 5 people who know you very well and tell them what your greatest strengths are, and I remember asking my friends and my aunties and that kind of thing. And I remember then many of them came back to talk about how I'm very compassionate. Oh, Emma is very patient. Oh, she's very compassionate. She has a lot of empathy. And I actually was not very pleased, because in my mind, I was like, compassion, when people keep repeating the same thing, oh, she's compassionate, oh, she's compassionate, I'm like, I need strength. They're talking about strength. I need strength, and they're telling me these things. I didn't think of them as strengths, you know oh, compassion or empathy or patience or those kind of things. I thought they were almost like just, soft kind of thing, you know. But then my strength didn't sound very strong to me. But anyway, today I remembered it because today I want to talk about how marketing and selling makes you a better person. And I wanted to just follow my train of thought. I actually um wrote some notes on this a while ago, and I said, oh, I would make it into a podcast, but I'll keep referring to this and maybe even read some bits about it. So learning marketing and selling is not something that comes natural to everybody, or to, I mean, we do sell every day, is even when we don't realize that we're selling. Um, but it's not something that it's still something that makes people feel a bit nervous, or they just don't like the idea. They feel that selling, is it makes you pushy. You're trying to convince somebody, you're trying to cheat somebody, or trying to kind of bamboozle somebody into doing something that they don't really want to do. But actually, um, it's not so. And there is a book called To Sell is Human. And I literally just remember that book just about half an hour ago when I was about to come on this call. I was like, okay, there's a book called To Sell is Human. I haven't read the book. So I went to Google and I Googled and I said, give me a quote from um, Daniel Pink's To Sell is Human. And one of the things he says, or one of the more popular quotes, is to sell well is to convince someone else to part with resources, not to deprive that person, but to leave him better off in the end. So he's kind of like summarized what I was just about to talk about. So great minds think alike. Anyway, um, to sell and to as a marketer is it is something that it actually makes you a better human being, or the other way around. If you are a better human being, you would find it easier to sell. And let me just, it's like almost like when I was thinking about it, I was thinking of it like a thesis. How will I prove, or how did I come to this conclusion? So let's talk about the role of pain in the words and language of sales. So I talked about it last week. I've talked about it in another, and you'll probably hear me talk about it again. So when I say pain, when you, as an entrepreneur or as a as a brand or as a purpose-driven brand, most of the time you are coming to the world, or you are bringing a solution to the world, and you are bringing a solution that solves a problem. Um, One of my favorite brands is Charity Water, and they are solving the problem of um, water, clean water in parts of the world that don't have access to clean water, and they've linked it to so many things, but it's a very compassionate brand, very purpose driven brand. And their passion, their aim is to provide clean water to millions of people around the world, which is what they've been doing. So basically, whether you're an entrepreneur or a charity or a purpose driven brand, you're usually somebody who wants to solve a problem, and so that's what we talk when we talk about, or solve a problem or relieve a pain for people, or for nations, or for whoever your clients or your ideal customers are. Your work is actually just aimed at solving a problem. And when you talk about pain, you know like I said last week, what I heard from Alex Homozy, the pain is the pitch. In other words, the problem that you're solving, your description of the problem is what helps you to sell the solution. The better you can describe the problem, the easier it is for you to sell the solution, or to to get people to accept the solution. In fact, you don't even really have to sell. If you are able to really describe the problem, then it's selling becomes the most almost the most automatic next step for the customer, or for the whatever customer, the potential customer to take. So in the language of sales, we talk about pain, we talk about loss, we talk about frustration, we talk about fear, we talk about distress, we talk about the things that keep people up at night. We talk about the things that people worry about. We talk about the things that have disrupted people's lives. So those pains are the things that we, as people who, as purpose-driven brands, who want to bring a solution to that problem, we are able to use selling to describe, or in the process of selling, describe that problem to them. So this is my thesis anyway, of why marketing makes you a better human being. And the case I'm making for it is that when you are using storytelling, because we are talking here on this live every Wednesday, we talk about storytelling, copywriting, just communication, that is marketing communications. And when you are telling the story of the the rather, let me put it like this: the role of storytelling in articulating this problem is is something that you cannot do if you do not have a high level of empathy and a high level of compassion. So that in itself, you going out of your way to learn. So you going out of your way to learn what this problem is, or you going out of your way to articulate what this pain is what you are is it then becomes a your the messaging of your marketing. And the only way that you can do that is if you are somebody who is able to have that empathy. I spoke somewhere else about an empathy map. Basically, an empathy map, when I learned about it, or how I learned about it, or how it makes sense to me, is an empathy map is based on what 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 does your person see, what do they hear, what do they say, what is around them, what's in their world, what's going on around them. Basically, when they wake up in the morning and open their eyes, what do they see, what do they hear, what are they thinking? So that map generally has to do with um how they're feeling. And that empathy map is you being able to map out, and map out those things from the point of view of the person who is going through the pain. One way that you can have empathy, obviously, is if it is something that you have gone through before, which is another which kind of gives you almost like a what's that, like an advantage, that you've been through this before, and it might even be the reason why you are trying to solve that particular problem, because you suffered that problem, and you were able to solve it for yourself. So now you want to solve it for other people. So you have that empathy for the fact that you've been through it before. You know how it feels, you know what it means, you have that empathy. If on the other hand, if even if you have not been through it before, but you still have that compassion towards compassion about people who are going through that pain point. And that, when I say pain, it could be anything. It could be um the pain of not having enough clients, or the pain of not having enough confidence, or the pain of having bad skin, or the pain of not wearing nice clothes. It could be anything, So it could be anything that you are selling, But being able to articulate that pain through storytelling takes a lot of empathy. That gives you a very strong, it makes your messaging stronger, and therefore it makes you a better marketer. So that's the point I'm making. Selling is helping people. Selling is not that sleazy, slimy, um dodgy thing. Selling is helping people to come to a decision that is going to be to their advantage, as Daniel Pink said, something like that, you know. And it takes them out of a dreaded state to a dream state, or it takes them one more step or towards their dream scenario. I heard something a few days ago. I wish I was the one that said it, but it was not me. But I put it in my notes. Yes, it was a lady. I want to give her credit. I think her name is Debola, is it Kurumi or something Kurumi? Debola, she's a speaker and a coach lady. You see her on the interwebs, on Instagram, and I suppose other places. But she said she was saying something. She was saying many things, but then the sentence that she said that struck me said, "You are called. You were called to elevate the quality of life for humanity." So there's something that you are doing as a purpose-driven brand. There's something that you are doing that is, for the fact that you are doing it, it elevates the quality of life for somebody else. Maybe not for the whole world, but for the people that you are called to serve. I used to work in Citizens Advice as their marketing officer. Citizens Advice in Redbridge and Havering. Both of them work together. They have a partnership, and I was their marketing and communications officer for almost a year or so. And what they do is what they do, or what they still do, what they still do is that they provide advice to people who are in crisis. So it could be debt, it could be immigration problem, it could be housing, it could be family matters, it could be there's several different categories, but basically people who are in crisis, they don't know what to do, and then they reach out to Citizens Advice. Citizens Advice tells them, this is what you need to do, this is where you need to go, this is the form you need to fill, this is the letter you need to write, this is the whatever. And that is all they do. That's what Citizens Advice does. It's a charity. A lot of people don't know it's a charity, but I'll just say that. It's a charity, and that's what they do. So their volunteers are trained to advise. So going back to what I'm saying, this is what they're called to do. And in this way, they are able to the elevate the quality of life of humanity, or let's just say elevate the quality of life of the people in that borough, that county that they serve. You know, there's probably other people who do other things, farmers and different people, supermarkets, petrol stations. Everybody does their part. I talked about that last week. Everybody has a part to play. We're all part of the story, you know. But basically, it is our duty, and this was not really the direction I was going to go, but it is our duty to sell when we have something that can elevate the quality of life of another human, or of elevate the quality of life of the people that we are called to serve. So in that sense, in that sense it when we're going about our business, it's not really about us. It's not about us. It's not about me. It's not about you. It's about the people that you are called to serve. So they come first. They come first. You know, when I'm helping a client maybe create a website, or write a message, or write an email, or whatever, my default is always to put myself in the shoes of the person that is going to look at the website. So the website is not about you. The website is about the person that is going to read the website. And the thing is, when they go there to read the copy on the website, or to read that email, do they see themselves there? So this is what we are talking about. Writer's Room, we're talking about how to communicate, how to use storytelling to increase our influence, and to increase our connection with others, as well as to sell, and to create culture. So there are two ways to talk about pain, like I said, um or rather to write about pain, to talk about pain. There are two ways, and I talked about the empathy map, and then I say show, don't tell. So show, don't tell, basically tell the story, tell the story, describe. So don't just say, oh, she was sad, but you could talk about how she felt, how she, what did she sound like, what did she look like, what did her eyes look like, what was going through her mind, what was her posture, what was the her reaction, those kind of things. So, and then the third thing is, if you're writing, if you're talking about writing now, then you make it as sensory as possible. you know what do they hear, what do they see, what do they taste, touch, smell, feel, you know and that's so we're talking about articulating the problem. So being a better human means that you have more, you think of them first rather than what you want. You think of what they want, you think of how to connect what they want to what you are able to offer. You think of what you can give rather than what you can get. So you think more of what can you give. you know I believe it is Zig Ziglar that is often quoted as saying that you can get what you want out of life if you can make as if you can help as many people as possible to get what they want. So the easiest way to get what you want is to help as many people as possible to get what they want. You know, if it's not Zig Ziglar, correct me, but it's often quoted. So that's just the whole point. If you take the focus off what do I want, what do I need, what are my goals, what am I, whatever, and think how can I serve better, how can I serve, how can I really get to the heart of what that problem is, to get to the heart of that problem so that I can create solutions or a solution that is going to solve that problem. I would encourage you to watch, I don't know whether that video is still there, but you can watch any video that is where what's his name, Scott Harris, okay, something Scott something, or something Scott, the founder of Charity Water, where he's telling the story of Charity Water. And you will see how, in the practical bit of getting water to people, or even in his book, in the practical bit of getting people water, his solution evolved. His solution evolved. I mean, you go in, you start, and you try to solve the problem, and then you now realize that, okay, this problem has other problems, and then you evolve that problem because you're always looking to serve better. So that's and honestly, selling is service. Plain and simple. Selling is service. You're serving somebody by telling them that, by giving them hope. For the fact that somebody understands what you are going through, that gives you hope already. you know Sometimes people don't understand what other people are going through, but if somebody is to articulate what somebody is going through, you have given them hope. And the only way you can articulate is if you have that, if you take that time to get to know them, to ask them questions, to dig a bit deeper, to be a bit more um compassionate, to have more empathy. That's what we're talking about. So so I think I have, so let me read this bit. So what makes you a better human is your willingness to learn how to articulate the pain. You may know it, but can you show that you know? Show that you know. Show that you know. So we're in the writer's room. This is writer's room. We have 15, we've done how many minutes? This is writer's room. We talk about writing. We talk about the arts, the crafts, and the art and the science of writing. and you will get tips about how to write, and today what I'm talking about is to when you want to um that you what I'm talking about is learning to articulate the pain. There's this famous well, there's this thing in sales. They say, oh, like when you're talking about something that is when you're talking about a pain point, that you should agitate the pain, so it's like you say, oh, you have this wound, and then you then agitate the pain, in the sense that it's almost as if you stick your finger in the wound and twist it around and make them really feel old, so that is not what we're talking about. We're not talking about agitating the pain, we're talking about articulating that pain. So, and one of the best ways that you can do that is with storytelling, either telling stories of case studies of people that you've helped, your own story if it is something that you've been through and you have solved, or stories that show that you understand what they are going through. You understand the problem behind the problem. You also understand how it's making them feel, what is affecting in their life and all that. So I'm not going to go round and round and repeat myself. Yeah. So I have a resource for you. It is in my book. The book is called The Vivid Story Method, and the chapter in there is the chapter on paint the picture. So talking about painting pictures, that would help you to do what we've just finished talking about, which is being able to communicate and articulate people's pain points, their problems, because once you're able to do that, then you are able to sell, or sometimes selling is no longer necessary because your solution then becomes the obvious next step for them. So I hope I have made my points, my thesis, my theory, and there is nothing new under the sun. To sell is human. I just remembered that. So even though I have not read the book, Daniel Pink's book, but basically, marketing and selling make you a better person, not just because you are already a good person or a better person, but the process makes you better, because the process means that you have to care about people. You have to show that you care about people, and then it's just a cycle that goes. And if you're able to not just care about people, but show that you care, and you show that you care by saying, look, I know what you are going through, then then you are able to sell. You're able to serve them by selling, and that's the process, you know. Okay, so it's not. I would end here. It's not about formulas or anything. It's really just about having some empathy for the people that you are called to serve, and also knowing that what you are trying to do, or what you are trying to sell to them, is something that is going to make their life better. And if it's going to make their life better, then it is your duty to sell it to them, or to sell your solution to them. It's your duty to speak up about it. It's your duty to show up about it. It's your duty to put yourself in uncomfortable situations, like, for instance, going on camera, you know, to let people know that there is hope for them. There is hope for what they're trying to do. There's hope for them to be able to do it better. There's hope for them to achieve their goals after all. So that's me. Have a good evening. I can't believe my house has been quiet for this 30 minutes. So have a good evening. I will see you again next Wednesday at 7:15, and we will keep it to 15 minutes. Good night.